to watch. Y bienvenidos y bienvenidas. ¿Cómo están ustedes hoy? ¿Cómo están? ¿Bien?
Bien.
¿Bien?
Bien.
Bien, magnífico, magnífico. Yo también, yo también. Tengo más de 150 millas. I've got 100, tengo más de, I have more than. Not more than somebody else, but more than a number. Oh, and then it's not más que, then it's más de. Tengo más de 150 millas en el concurso, in the contest, sí, 100 millas, the 100-mile contest with the county parks. I think I have a few more hiking miles to do. I've got all my biking miles. I have extra. So even though it's a 100-mile challenge, el desafío de 100 millas, if you split it between cycling and hiking, you have to actually do 150. Because the biking miles don't count as much as the hiking miles. The horse riding miles do not count as much as the hiking miles. So I had a few more hiking miles. Hopefully I got that with yesterday's. Okay. A ver, vamos a empezar. Vamos a practicar muchísimo hoy, clase, con la idea de comparar cosas, comparar cosas. We're going to do a lot of practice with comparing things. So, the things that you need, las cosas que necesitan, el libro, necesitan el libro. Voy a compartir. I'm going to share with you the other thing that you need. You also need this page, which you can pull up via, if you just have a tab and you're able to do two screens, this little homework thingy, right? You'll need that. So if you printed it, take a moment to locate that. What we will do with this is we will take a look at the top part together, and you will go out into breakout rooms to do the bottom half together, okay? So you need that page either on, printed out or on your computer on a second screen. Y quizás el libro, and maybe the book. Eso es, I think that's all you need for printed pages. Okay, pero vamos a practicar muchísimo con comparaciones. And there will be some situations where you are going to want to bring in the old unequal comparisons, right? Unequal comparisons or comparisons of inequality. It just means more than, less than, right? So you may still find it appropriate today, even though we're practicing comparisons of equality, as happy as difficult as many problems as, even though we're practicing equal comparisons, you may, because it could be appropriate, slip in unequal comparisons as well. So the más que, the menos que, you may need to inject some of those as needed, okay? We're gonna start to combine the two. Okay, a ver, como repaso, as a review, as a warm-up review, we are going to take a super short video, which honestly goes so fast that I will probably have to pause it a couple of times as we watch it, but it's super short, dos minutos. So this is a refresher, a mental warm-up before you do the actual practice, so that it will jog your memory in case there was something in the prep this week that you were like, oh shoot, that's right, I didn't quite understand that. I need to pause and ask. You can ask it before we do the active practice. Okay, Momentito. I need to take that off because I did not do the sound. Hay muchos botones. There are many buttons I have to do. Can you all see the screen that says comparisons of equality? See? Bien. Okay. Vale. I will run this and I will pause it a couple times because it goes so fast. You know, your brain is going to need a little bit of time. Now, okay, notice when we compare things equally, I'm going to stop it right away. They're going to be talking about adjectives, verbs, and nouns because there are some slight little changes that have to be made if you compare adjectives, meaning descriptions, verbs, meaning actions, or nouns, which are things or people. Okay, so we're starting with the adjectives and adverbs, and I'm going to pause because it's going to move on really, really fast. So remember, this is like as pretty as tall as handsome as. You're saying two things are on the same footing. They are the same as something else, okay? But we are using descriptions, and those descriptions might be adjectives, or they might be adverbs, and adverbs are something we're going to actually look at a little bit deeper, hopefully at the end of class. Adverbs describe how an action is done. Adjectives describe what a thing or a person is like. But adverbs tell how you do something. They talk about how the action is performed. So as fast as, the fast is talking about the action of running, but pretty is talking not about an action, it's talking about Elena, that particular person, okay? Elena is as pretty as you, Carlos runs as fast as Pablo. So this is comparing descriptions or the way you do an activity on an equal level. Okay, tan, we put in the description, and como. Tan and como. Tan and como always have to be paired up. Not más que, there are different words. So tan and como are the ones that match up. Tan como, and what's in between is going to be a description or an adverb, meaning it's saying the way a thing is performed or done. Whoop. Elena es tan bonita como tú. Elena es tan bonita como. And bonita, that word bonita looks back at the very first thing or person, the first noun we talk about, which is Elena, a girl. So it becomes bonita. Carlos corre tan rápido como Pablo. Rápido talks about the activity of corre. So rápido is masculine because it's an adverb. Okay, adverbs can't be masculine, feminine. Rápido is not really talking about Carlos, it's talking about the action of corre. So rápido just stays in that masculine form. It doesn't need to become feminine because it's really talking about corre, the action of corre. And here they're showing you that this sentence, las chicas son tan bonitas como tú. Bonitas looks back at that first word, chicas. And bonitas goes in the form of whatever the first noun is that you're talking about, which is chicas, bonitas. So now the critical thing to remember is if you get the adjective form wrong, someone will still understand your meaning. It'll just sound a little off. More important, really, to get that tan como combination correct. And if you get the adjective form wrong, it'll sound a little off, but they'll get it. if you don't have tan como, if, for example, you said tan que, that would sound weirder to them than getting the form of bonitas wrong, okay? So don't get too overwhelmed about the adjective form. It's nice to get it nice, you know, and correct, but the tan como words are more important to get right. Tan como, tan como. And there they tell you that gender is not an issue because it's an adverb. Things that talk about actions, activities, the verb itself, corren, do not go into gender forms. So here's the part that's harder to do, okay? And you're going to notice this in practice today. So if you find this harder, es normal, that's normal. This is harder. Tan lengthens out into a longer word when it is used with nouns. That means things or people, okay? So if you are comparing things as opposed to descriptions, tan lengthens out into a longer word, tanto, and it might go into different forms. It looks to that middle noun, the middle noun. That's why that word noun is in blue, okay? So tanto might become tanta, a feminine form, if it's talking about a feminine noun. It might become plural, tantos, if you've got a masculine plural noun thing, or tantas, feminine plural, if you've got a feminine plural noun. Okay, and here you see, we're talking about Elena having books. What we're really comparing is the number of books that are in Elena's possession versus the number of books that you have in your possession. So, libros, books, a thing, is what we're really comparing. Books is not a description. Books is a thing. So we need that longer word, and it needs to become tantos so it matches up with libros. But we still pair up tantos with that word como. Elena tiene tantos libros como. Tiene tantos libros como tú. Okay. And here, energía, they have as much energy as we do. Energy, energía, ends in an a. You can guess that's a feminine word. So it's tanta energía como, as much energy. Energy is a thing, a noun. Okay, talento. We often say somebody is as talented, which there is a word talented, and it's like talento, but it's an oso at the end. Talentoso. Es talentoso. But if you want to say they have talent, tengo tanto, masculino, talento como. Hay tantas chicas como chicos. There are as many girls as boys. So it looks to that middle noun for the form of the word tanto. Okay, eso es todo. That is it. That is the difficult part of equal comparisons. They are harder than the más que or the menos que unequals, because sometimes we use tan como, sometimes it's tanto como. Y depende. It depends on what it is you're comparing. Are you comparing a description? Are you comparing an activity? Are you comparing things? Bien. Ok, está bien. Hay preguntas. Do you have any questions before we start practice? Oh, and it disappeared there because I got my screen set. ¿Hay alguna pregunta, sí o no? ¿No? Ok, vale. Muy bien. Vamos a empezar. We're going to begin. Let's take a look at the top half of this page. So I'm going to ask you to pull out la página, the page here that I sent out as a homework here. We're going to take a look and pardon. How you express this top part may vary a little bit. This is going to be our warm-up. So in other words, depending on which item you mention first, you might set up the phrase differently, but still be correct. Okay, and the essential thing is we need to look at the information and figure out, do we need an equal comparison or do we need an unequal comparison? So in the first one, we're going to have 40, 40, and 43. They're not going to be the same. Okay. Mariana tiene 40 años. Su hermana tiene 43 años. And this one is a little bit different. We're just going to use a single word, an older or a younger. Okay. ¿Cómo se dice older? ¿Cómo se dice older? You'll need to take yourselves off of mute. ¿Cómo se dice older?
Mayor.
Mayor, okay. So when we talk about people being older, not houses, not your car, but people being older, we need to use mayor or younger, which is?
Menor.
Menor. So there are two ways we can set up this information. We can say we can talk about Mariana and what her status is, or we can talk about su hermana, what her status is. Bien, okay. ¿Cómo se dice Mariana is younger than her sister? And that word tiene is going to disappear. We're going to say es. Mariana es.
Mariana es menor que su hermana.
Exacto. Mariana es menor que su hermana. Mariana es menor que su hermana. And it's a menor que, that's one of the irregulars. Now, I could convey this same information correctly by flipping the order and saying her sister is older than Mariana. ¿Cómo se dice her sister is older than Mariana?
Su hermana es mayor que Mariana.
Okay. Mariana, exacto. La hermana o la hermana de Mariana es mayor que Mariana. La hermana es mayor que Mariana, and that uses a different word, but it conveys the same idea. Okay. Now this next one is going to be igual. Tiene. We're going to keep tiene. La familia García tiene 2 carros. La familia López tiene 2 carros. Okay. ¿Cómo se dice this family has as many as the other? ¿Hay alguien? Somebody want to?
Sure. La familia García tiene tantos carros como la familia López.
Exacto. Muy bien. Muy bien. Okay. Comparamos carros. We're comparing cars. Those are things. So we need the longer word, and it can't be just tanto because carros, 2 carros, 2 carros. Ok, tantos. La familia García tiene tantos carros como la familia López. And I could switch the names and say la familia López tiene tantos carros como la familia García. Same thing. I could even shorten and say los García, and los García would mean the same thing as la familia García. Los García, ¿sí? Ok, bien. Mis amigos son simpáticos, tus amigos son simpáticos. ¿Cómo se dice they're just as? Just as nice. Now we're not comparing. Now we're not comparing carros. We're comparing simpáticos, a quality. Okay, bueno, Trish.
Tus amigos son tan simpáticos como mis amigos.
Exacto. Mis amigos son tan simpáticos como tus amigos, o tus amigos son tan simpáticos como mis amigos. El orden, the order of where you put mis amigos versus tus amigos doesn't really matter because it's an equal thing. They're both balancing the scale, right? No importa. El orden no importa. The order doesn't matter there. Okay. 4. Los tigres son peligrosos. Los perros no son peligrosos. There are different things we might say here. Are these equal or the same?
No.
No.
Unequal.
They're not really quite the same. So there are different ways we might talk about these animales, los tigres, los perros. There are different ways we might structure this and still convey the correct idea.
Los tigres son más peligrosos que los perros.
Los tigres son más peligrosos que los perros. Bien. Otra manera, what's another way we can do it? If we flip the order and want to talk about perros first.
Los perros son menos peligrosos que los tigres.
Los perros son menos peligrosos que los tigres. Bien. So there are different ways we can even, and this one I wouldn't expect you to know, but if you figured it out, kudos to you. Piensen en esto. Think about this. Piensen en esto. Los tigros los perros no son tan peligrosos como los tigres. Los perros no son tan peligrosos como los tigres. By making that a not as dangerous as, there's yet a third way I can say that idea. So these, what I'm trying to show you is these unequal or equal comparisons can be used in a whole bunch of different combinations to convey the same idea. Okay, so you have a lot of variations that people might use, so a lot of variety people might use to express these ideas. And by using tan como, but making it negative, I can inject yet a different way to say that. Okay. Ana es trabajadora. Trabajadora es hardworking. Ana es trabajadora. Gabriela no trabaja mucho. Gabriela no es trabajadora. Again, there are going to be different ways we can structure this to convey the idea. Are they the same or not equal?
Not equal.
They're not equal. They're not on the same level. Okay. Una manera. Is there one way we could say this?
Ana trabaja más que Gabriela.
Ana trabaja más que Gabriela. Ana trabaja más que Gabriela. She works more than Gabriela. Gabriela trabaja
Menos que.
menos que Ana. Gabriela trabaja menos que Ana. She works less than Ana. Okay. Hay más. Gabriela, escuchen, Gabriela no trabaja tanto como Ana.
Tanto.
Repito, I'm going to repeat that. Gabriela no trabaja tanto como Ana. Gabriela does not work as much as Ana. So there are many different ways people may throw you curveballs all over the place, right? With how they choose to tell you this information. But the information of Gabriela no trabaja tanto como is the same as Ana trabaja más que. It's the same information, but they may set the sentence up in a different way, depending. Okay?
Mhm.
So know that you sometimes have choices on how you can express these ideas. Las comparaciones son a veces, sometimes, a veces, flexibles. These are sometimes flexible. We're going to take this bottom half and use it for some breakout time. There is a verb in there that you don't know yet because it's a past. So I'm going to give you a way you can change that if you're not comfortable with the word vendió. Vendió does not mean is selling right now. It means sold in the past. Okay. So the thing you need to know is you can plug in that word vendió all the way through the list if you want. Okay. And vendió just means sold, as in it's over with, versus selling right now. If you're not comfortable with using the word vendió, you can change it to present in your group and just use vende. Vende maybe makes more sense to you because vende es presente. Vende sells right now. Okay. So this tells you to, las instrucciones dicen, the instructions say, haga 5 comparaciones, make 5 comparisons. So it's free and open. You can make any 5 comparisons using information on that chart. Haga 5 comparaciones de cosas. You're making comparisons of things. These all have to be a form of tanto como. So all of these have to be tanto como because you're comparing things, libros, books, teléfonos celulares, cell phones. You're comparing anillos de diamantes, diamond rings. You're comparing películas, movies. You're comparing cámaras, cameras. You're comparing guitarras, guitars. You're comparing things. So that means it cannot be tan como. It must be a form of tanto. Tanto or tanta, tantos or tantas, and como. Okay? You're going to tell how many of these things eBay sells versus Amazon, or you might flip the order and say how many things Amazon sells versus eBay. But if we look at libros, will that be an equal or an unequal comparison?
Unequal.
That'll be uneven. Okay. So you're going to have an uneven. Teléfonos celulares, what kind of comparison will be?
Equal.
Equal.
Equal, the same. Anillos de diamantes, will that be unequal or equal?
Unequal.
Unequal. Películas,
Unequal.
movies, it won't be equal, it'll be unequal. Cámaras,
Equal.
equal, the same. Guitarras,
Unequal.
unequal, okay? So here's a caveat I will give you. There'll be two. If you want to substitute vende, sells, present, instead of vendió, vale, okay. But for the 5 comparisons you choose to make with your partners, I will say you must use the teléfonos celulares and you must use cámaras. You have to use, as your 5 comparisons, you must use 2 of those that will be equals, okay? The other 3, I don't care which ones you pick. No importa. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 items, so you're picking 5 of those groups. Bien? Okay, ¿está bien? ¿Entienden? Do you understand those?
Mhm.
¿Sí? Okay, vale. 5 minutos son suficientes? Do you think 5 minutes is enough?
Well,
¿Sí?
yeah.
Vale?
1
Because
minute.
this was something, oh, okay. Dime. Tell me.
7.
Okay. Momentito. Oh, and I made my thing go away, so I need to take my screen off. Full size. Okay. Y la pregunta, your question is?
No question.
Diana, ¿tienes pregunta? Do you have a question, Diana, or no?
No. Oh,
No,
no.
oh, okay. Okay. Vale. Bueno, somos 8 grupos, 2 grupos. I'm going to put you into 2 groups today for this. Vale, so you'll probably have 3 people. You can bounce ideas off with 3 people. And then we'll come back and compare some ideas that you have. Bien, perfecto. 4. I maybe need to create a 3rd room. Perdón. Let me add a room because I want. I want to get. Break it down into somewhat smaller groups. Okay. A ver. 3 grupos, 3 groups, 1 group of 2, 2 groups of 2 and 1 of 3. Okay, remember to hit the join button. 5 minutos, 5 minutes. A ver, ok. Muy bien, vamos a ver, vamos a ver. Y ya llegaron todos. Ok, everybody got here. Bueno, clase, entonces, ¿cuáles son comparaciones? What are some comparisons that you guys made? I'd like to have some people volunteer to give some. Okay, Tomás, dinos.
So I was going to start with the two required ones, the same as, and then go.
Está
from there.
bien.
But, and I didn't. Can you bring up the sheet?
Oh,
again?
sí, claro.
Right.
Sí.
I didn't write the full sentence.
Momentito. No, está bien. Aquí
Thank you.
tienes. Here you
That's
go.
it.
De nada.
eBay vendió tantos teléfonos celulares como Amazon.
Como Amazon. Okay. Y tantos como. So I'm going to give you a shorter way to say cell phones. And it's just the word celulares.
Celulares.
Es difícil. That's kind of a tongue twister, isn't it? Yeah. Celulares is the short form for celulares. If you're in Spain, they use a completely different word, just like the Brits use a different word than we do. It's mobile if you're in Spain, mobile, because the Brits call it a mobile. It's one of those things. It's a European thing versus an American thing. But in Mexico, in Latinoamérica, celular. Tanto celulares como. Perfecto. Muy bien.
And then Amazon tantas Amazon vendió cameras tantas como eBay.
Okay, now your word order, we're going to flip that around a little
Okay.
bit. We
Okay.
can't say cámaras tantas. You're going to flip those.
Okay, so it'd be Amazon
Vendió
vendió tantas cameras como eBay.
tantas cámaras como eBay.
Gracias.
Vendió tantas cámaras como eBay. And it has to be tantas because cámaras, right?
Is feminine.
Exacto. Tantas cámaras como. Bien. Muy bien. Hiciste muy bien. You did very well. Okay. Otras comparaciones. Would anybody like to put in other comparisons?
I'll do the books. eBay no vendió tantos libros como Amazon.
Muy bien. Muy difícil. You did a hard one.
I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but Sue did a great one for the diamonds, the diamond rings. So,
Okay. Dinos, Sue.
Well, I kind of went out because I want to do something different. So I compared the number and make up something. So 700 anillos de diamantes en eBay son más baratos que 400 anillos de diamantes en Amazon.
Wow. Okay.
I want
Bien.
to practice numbers also.
Okay. Muy bien. Muy bien. Okay. Vale. Bien. Otras comparaciones. Any other comparisons you had? ¿Alguien? Somebody want to do a share? ¿Alguien nuevo?
Oh, I'll do
Mariana.
I'll do the guitars.
Gracias.
Las guitarras. Is that my say?
Guitarras.
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 Las guitarras de eBay cuestan menos que las guitarras de Amazon.
The Amazon. Okay. So if you took those as prices, right? Again.
Right,
otra
right,
vez. If you
right.
took it as prices instead of quantities. Okay. Bien. Muy bien. Okay. So you see how many combinations You know, I hadn't even intended for this to be a price thing, but
Okay.
but there are many combinations you can do. Okay, as long as you are thinking in saying it properly, no importa, it doesn't matter. I like it when people take things in different directions. Okay, a ver, otras comparaciones. Hay otras. Any others you want to share? ¿Sí o no?
Yeah, I have one.
Okay, Patricia.
Did you call me? Okay.
Sí.
Vende 500 menos libros en eBay que Amazon.
Okay. Muy bien. Ustedes hacen cosas muy difíciles. You guys are doing really hard stuff. Okay. Vale, perfecto. Okay, ¿más o no? Hay otro ejercicio. There's another exercise, but this one you couldn't prepare for. This one you could see ahead of time. I've got these items, right? So you could see this coming. But in real life, we can't always see it coming, can we? Okay. You all know that in real life, people throw the curveball at you all the time, right? So people start talking about things that you had no idea they were going to do and all of that. So what you're going to do now, and this is maybe going to take a little bit longer than 5 minutes. You're going to go into breakout rooms and you're going to compare 3 things or 3 people. Depende, kind of depends. It is similarly wide open, but I can see from what you've been doing that you're pretty much ready for that. I am going to show you a screen to show you what the comparisons will look like. You don't need to take a lot of notes, but there are going to be many possible comparisons you would do. So I'm going to do a share screen, whiteboard, just so you can kind of visualize it as I am speaking to you. A ver. You can all see the whiteboard, right? ¿Sí? ¿Pueden ver? ¿Pueden ver? Ah, bien, magnífico. El pizarrón, our whiteboard here. I'm going to give you 3 people or 3 things, and I'm going to take a really hard example. Yours are going to be way easier. So yours is going to be piece of cake. I do this just so that I leave lots of, I always give myself the hard one. Voy a comparar vacunas. Las vacunas son vaccines. Yours is going to be way like more everyday than mine. Voy a comparar las vacunas contra, against. Sarampión. Sarampión es cuando una persona tiene fiebre y erupciones. Aquí no es chickenpox, es measles. Sarampión, measles. Voy a comparar las vacunas contra sarampión, contra against, ¿sí? Con las vacunas contra polio, polio, y las vacunas contra COVID. Uy. 3. You're going to have free reign to compare 3 different people and or 3 different things. They are going to be way easier than these, but I'm going to show you all the different things you might want to say. Okay. Por ejemplo, las vacunas contra sarampión son tan eficaces. Eficaces, sí, eficaces. Como, and I'm using this as the hard one because you wouldn't know the word eficaz. Eficaz is effective. You know, effective. Son tan eficaces como las de, and I'm taking that as an abbreviation, las de polio. Measles vaccines are just as effective as polio. Okay? Just as. They're equally. You get the shot, you don't get it. Okay. No sabemos mucho de la vacuna o las vacunas porque hay 2 o 3, ¿no? Las vacunas contra COVID. A ver, bueno, sí. Pero, me imagino que, I guess that, I imagine, me imagino que las vacunas de COVID son menos eficaces como las de polio. Okay. You might have equal, tan como. You might have less than, menos que, or menos que, perdón, tengo como, I've got como, terrible. Que, menos eficaces que. You might have a menos que or a más que, see? You might have a tan como. You might pick one thing out of the group and say it's the most. You might make a superlative. You've got complete freedom to choose. I might say, I want to say measles vaccine is the best. It is the best. It is the most effective. La vacuna contra sarampión es la más eficaz de todas. It's the most effective of all. Es la, we stick in the word the, más, most. And if I want to include the group, and I just make the group all of them, de todas, because vacunas are feminine, right? Bien. I could compare, if I want to take an easier example. Voy a comparar, ¿quién? Voy a comparar 3 programas. I'm going to compare 3 shows. I'm going to compare, voy a comparar, ¿qué? Mandalorian es como una serie como Star Wars. Bien, sí, ciencia ficción. Mandalorian versus ¿cuál es un programa muy popular? What's a really popular show, guys? Un programa de televisión muy popular.
Grey's Anatomy.
Perdón, Tomás, otra vez.
Grey's Anatomy.
Oh, Grey's Anatomy. Versus qué? Let's pick something easy. Otro programa versus qué. No vemos tanta televisión. We don't watch so much television as we used to. Versus algo popular. Ayúdenme.
Top Chef.
Okay, these are very different kinds of TV shows, right? Top Chef, Grey's Anatomy. We could have said the British Bake Off, right? Okay. Top Chef, Grey's Anatomy, Mandalorian, okay? Voy a comparar. We're going to take an easier one, okay? Mandalorian tiene más acción que Top Chef. Mandalorian has more action than Top Chef. Mandalorian tiene más acción que Top Chef. We might say, Mandalorian tiene tantos actores como Grey's Anatomy. Tiene tantos actores como, as many actors as. We might say, Top Chef es más popular que Mandalorian. Top Chef es más popular que Mandalorian. Is more popular than. ¿Sí? Bueno. Saben, you know, right? So you might use any combination of things, and your items will be more like this category of Mandalorian versus Grey's Anatomy versus Top Chef. Bien? Vale? So you're going to get 3 things to compare. You might throw in it would be nice if you threw in a superlative of some kind, make one thing like more something, you know, popular or talentoso or whatever. Okay. Voy a decirles. So you're going to do this in breakout rooms and then come back and give the examples you've got, because you're all going to have different things to compare. El grupo de Jeffrey, Mariana y Suwai. Jeffrey, Mariana, Suwai. You're going to want to take a quick note on what you're going to be comparing. You guys are going to be comparing. Uy, a ver. eBay versus Amazon versus Macy's. eBay versus Amazon versus Macy's. You can say anything about those stores. Okay? That's for Jeffrey, Mariana, Suwai. Bien. Okay? For el grupo. Dorothy y Trish. Dorothy y Trish. Your comparisons are going to be Kim Kardashian versus Martha Stewart versus Gwyneth Paltrow. Kim Kardashian, I'm going to tell you, except for the size of her behind, I know very little about her, but hopefully one of you knows something more about her, versus Martha Stewart versus Gwyneth Paltrow. Bien? Okay. Tomás y Diana. Tomás y Diana. You get to compare Stephen Hawking versus Albert Einstein versus Steve Jobs. Now, these groups of 3 people may actually have equal comparisons. Even Kim Kardashian, even though she is nothing like Martha Stewart, there may be things that you can say that are equal comparisons between Kim K and Martha versus how many fans they have, how much money they make, how popular they are, right? Even though they're very different, there may be ways that you can say they are equal. Vale? See? Everybody got their assignments? And then we're going to come back and we're going to compare. We're going to share some of your comparisons that you've made. Your comparisons can be anything. More than, less than, más que, menos que, tan como, as popular, as talented, talentoso, as exitoso, successful, exitoso. You know, it can be anything. Vale, me imagino, I imagine you're going to need more like 7 minutes to do this, ¿verdad? You should be able to come up with at least 3 comparisons in some way, but in any combination you want. Okay. ¿Tienen preguntas antes de practicar? Do you have any questions before practicing? ¿Sí o no?
No.
¿Nada? Okay. Bueno, 7 minutos. So somebody should be a scribe for the group, or you might all take notes. I do want everybody to participate and check in. Okay. You're going to need to hit your join button. Muy bien. Esperamos a dos grupos más. We're waiting on 2 more groups to come on back in. Vale, bueno, aquí estamos. Here we are. Okay, you need to take yourself off of mute. I think when you come back out of breakout rooms, it puts you back on mute. So make sure you're off of mute. I would like you guys to compare, to volunteer. Hay algunos ejemplos, some examples that you did. Let's start with, however, the group that had Kim versus Martha versus Gwyneth.
Okay. Do
Okay.
you want me to just, oh, okay. Do you want me to read all the sentences we got or?
Take a few and let somebody else and your partner takes a few more.
Okay. Martha Stewart es la más cocinar de las otras.
Oh, es la más talentosa en cocinar, is the most talented
Okay.
at cooking.
Okay, okay.
Un superlativo, bien.
Okay. Kim Kardashian es más grande que Gwyneth Paltrow. Sorry.
Es más grande que sí.
Let's see. Kim Kardashian es tanta popular. What? Popular?
Okay, so we're using popular. Can we use tanta? Because popular is a description. It's not a
Tan.
thing. Okay.
So it'd be tan popular, como Gwyneth Paltrow y Martha Stewart.
Bien. Es tan popular como. Muy bien. Okay.
Okay.
¿Uno más?
Yeah, okay.
Sí.
Kim Kardashian es la más rica de las otras. I mean,
Es la más rica de todas. Es la más rica de todas. She's the richest of all. Es posible. No sabemos en realidad, pero es opinión, ¿no?
right.
Es opinión y vale. Bueno, hay más. Any more from this group? ¿Hay más?
Well, nothing. Well, Gwyneth Paltrow es más alta que Martha Stewart.
Es más alta que Martha. Okay, bien. So you can see there are a lot of ways we can compare people by how popular they are, how much money they make, physically what they look like. Todo eso. Bien. Sí. Fantástico. ¿Más o es todo? ¿Es that it? ¿O más?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's close.
Bien. Okay. El grupo de Stephen Hawking, Albert Einstein, Steve Jobs.
I can start. Stephen Hawking es tan inteligente como Albert Einstein.
Es tan inteligente.
Albert Einstein es más popular que Stephen Hawking.
Okay. Bien.
Steve Jobs es el más rico de todos.
Es el más rico de todos. And here it will be todos because they're all men.
Todos.
Steve Jobs was or es el más rico de todos. Claro, bien. ¿Hay más?
Steve Jobs es el menor de todos.
Es el
Menor.
menor, muy bien. Es el menor, the youngest. Es el menor de todos, ¿sí? Es el menor, the youngest. Fantástico. ¿Más? ¿More o no? Ok. Bien. Vale. El grupo que tiene eBay versus Amazon versus Macy's. Ok.
Okay, I will start. Our group will turn. Amazon es más exitoso que eBay.
Es más exitoso, is more successful. Exitoso. Éxito is success, the thing, but successful is exitoso. We put an oso, O-S-O at the end. Vale.
Okay.
¿Más?
Okay. Macy's es la empresa más vieja de todas.
Es la empresa más vieja. And here we're not talking about a human. So la más vieja is the oldest institution. Perfecto. We're talking about institutions. We can use más vieja. Es la tienda más vieja, es la institución más vieja, lo que sea. Bien, muy bien.
Me gustan Macy's y Amazon más que eBay.
Ah, bien. Perfecto, perfecto. You can talk about how much you like something. Más que. Bien, ok. Excelente. Ustedes hicieron bien. ¿Hay más comparaciones o no?
I'll go with another one. Macy's no es tanta rica como Amazon.
No, and here we'll use tan because,
Oh, okay, right.
yeah, rica is a description, right? Okay, tan rica como. No es tan rica como. No, si hablamos de clientes, if we talk about customers,
Yes.
Macy's,
Amazon.
no.
Okay. Amazon tiene los más clientes de todas.
Más, tiene, sí, tiene más clientes, la cantidad más grande de clientes. Sí, es difícil de expresar, pero sí.
Pregunta,
Sí, dime.
the previous question, you said Rica, but you said Macy's. Is it because it's La Tienda? Is that why you said Rica, not
Tienda.
Rico?
Yeah, you might, because I had tienda in mind, but you might use it as rico. You might.
Either
Es
way,
posible. Es posible. Because I was thinking in terms of tienda,
Tienda.
rica, pero depende. It does kind of depend. ¿Sí?
Yeah.
Bien. Okay. Fantástico. We're going to have a mini lesson. Vamos a regresar al libro, and we're going to go back to the book now. I do want to show you something I want you to try for homework. We're going to do a few examples in class. Estoy en la página, miro la página 116. 116. 116. For homework, you're going to look at 116 and 117. Ay, Dios mío, 30 ejercicios, 30 exercises. No. You're not going to do 30. Ustedes van a hacer, you're going to do half of these. You are going to do the evens. You're going to, for homework, do the evens. Now you're going to see, because we're going to do a few examples together before we do our mini lesson. So we're going to do a few of the odds together right now, but you're going to do the evens for homework, and we'll come back and correct. And the reason I did not give this as an assignment beforehand was that it mixes all of these up, right? And until this last lesson, you did not have the, that breadth of superlatives and unequal comparisons and equal comparisons under your belt. So this is going to mix them all up. It will not do just unequal or just equal. Okay, but we're going to do a few of the odds together right now before we have our mini lesson, because our mini lesson is short today. It's easy to get. And it'll kind of wrap that up, and then I'm going to give you the other part of homework. So do as many of the evens as you can. If you don't have time to do all of them, that's great. You're not writing out whole sentences, so this probably won't take that long. But you do have to think about what kind of comparison is it. Vamos a ver número uno. We're going to look at a few of the odds. Esta película es buena. And I want you to practice saying the words after you do the exercise so that you practice your pronunciation a little bit. Esta película es buena. Es, the best. And we're talking about película, feminine thing. And we've got an odd, irregular comparison. It's the best. Es la mejor de todas. Es la mejor de todas. La mejor. La mejor. The best is a superlative. It puts this one thing above everything else. It's not saying as good as or better than or worse than. It's saying the best. Anytime you say the, you know you're going to have a corresponding the, meaning el, la, los, or las, and a superlative. Es la mejor de todas. Why is it la mejor? Because película, feminine thing. So we need to pick the feminine, the word. La mejor de todas. ¿Ok? Bien. Vamos a ver. 3. The biggest. The biggest. And we're going to be talking about apartamento. We're not saying Maria is the biggest. We're talking about apartamento, right? María no es Kim Kardashian. Ok, el apartamento. El apartamento de María es the biggest. El
Más grande.
más grande. Más grande del edificio. Es el más grande, el más grande. So they've only got one line, but you really need 3 words in there. El más grande del edificio. And del edificio tells you in the building. It tells you in the building the group we're choosing from, right? So that's why it's del. And notice in Spanish, we're not asking you to supply this, but where we would say is the biggest in the building, in Spanish, they say the biggest of the building. When you use a superlative in Spanish, they use of. Whereas in English, we use the word in. So if you name the thing, the large group you're choosing out of, you're choosing from, they use de, not en, okay? El apartamento de María es el más grande del edificio. Número 5, number 5. Ooh, as many, as many. Now we need to look, as many, we're talking about things, exámenes. And that's a thing. Tests are things. Ustedes tienen
Tantos.
tantos exámenes como, and they supply the como word for you. Ustedes tienen tantos exámenes como nosotros. Why can it not be tan? Because tan is for descriptions. Exámenes is not a description, it's a thing. So we need the longer word. Tantos exámenes como. Bien? So you can see how they're mixing it up. Número 7. We're gonna do 2 kinds of comparisons here. She is taller than he is, but he's not the tallest. We're gonna need a taller and a tallest. Ella es
Más alta.
más alta, more tall, más alta, and she's a girl, so it's alta. Ella es más alta que él, pero él no es el estudiante
Más alto.
más alto de la clase. They already gave us the el word with el estudiante. Sometimes we throw a noun in there, and then that el in front of estudiante serves as the tallest part of it. El estudiante más alto, and here we need alto, de la clase, okay? 9. We're going to look at younger, and younger, so we can't use, well, I'll let you decide. Younger, you need a special word, right? You need an irregular. We need happier, and then we need older. And so we've got a couple of irregular words. Younger and older are going to be, because we're talking about humans, irregular words. And happier is going to use just kind of normal comparison. Mi hermana es
Menor.
menor.
Okay.
See, she is happier. Está
Más,
Contenta.
más contentas.
más contenta, or maybe instead of contenta, we might use
Feliz.
Feliz, sí, okay, so you've got some choices here. Está más feliz, está más contenta que mi hermano
Mayor.
mayor.
May.
Mayor. Mayor. Perfecto. Okay. Y uno más, one more before we do a mini lesson because this is a super easy lesson. 11. Piensa usted, do you think? Piensa usted. Do you think that gentlemen, gentlemen, caballeros, no, caballos, horses. Caballeros is gentlemen because guys who rode horses were gentlemen. Caballos, this is horses. We're comparing caballos y perros, and we're going to talk about how smart they are. ¿Piensa usted que los caballos son
Tan inteligentes
tan inteligentes
como
como
los
los perros? ¿Piensa usted que los caballos son tan inteligentes, and it has to be plural, como los perros? Son tan inteligentes como los perros. ¿Bien? ¿Vale? So do as many of the evens as you can. You're not doing a whole sentence, so it may not take that long really, but we're looking at the evens. So, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, etc. If you don't get all the way up to 30 because you don't have time, no importa, doesn't matter. I am also going to give you, I think it's going to wind up being 2 videos. I had a fave video I really wanted to give you guys. These are thematic. It's going to be a cultura thing, a culture thing about Christmas, but it's going to be talking about Christmas in Mexico. It'll talk about that. And I think it's going to be a combination of 2 items. I have a favorite actually movie I would love for you to see. However, because I have a copy of it, I don't believe I can put it on YouTube. So I have to find some alternates because I think I would violate copyright.
You would.
Yeah, so I can't use my fave. So I'm going to take 2 videos. They're probably going to wind up being about 8 to 10 minutes each, but from kind of different perspectives or different information, they're going to tell you. And the reason I'm giving this to you is that el 12 de diciembre, hoy es el 7 de diciembre, clase, ¿no? Hoy es el 7 de diciembre. El sábado es el 12 de diciembre. Y la temporada, season, la temporada de Navidad empieza el 12. Christmas season really kicks off for Mexico on the 12th. You may say, wow, that is way before Christmas. It kicks off on the 12th for a reason. One of the videos definitely will talk about that reason. And the reason is they celebrate a different religious holiday, but which they kind of connect to Christmas. And that is the festival of La Virgen de Guadalupe. So this is not done in Spain. La Virgen de Guadalupe, the Virgin of Guadalupe, is a celebration of Mary, Maria, the mother of Jesus. And this is a very big deal in Mexico, en Mexico. Es muy importante. And I will talk to you a little bit about it after you watch the video. The video will be in English, at least one of them. This is a big deal because for Mexico, as a population that is very mestizo, that means mixed blood. Mestizo, many people have a mixture of Spanish ancestors, indigenous ancestors. A great part of the population is, still largely indigenous, more people of indigenous ancestry than Spanish. But of course, there were many hundreds of years of discrimination based on that racial divide, as we have racial divisions and discrimination in our country. Every country has a certain aspect of this, yes? And in Mexico, is really those who were descended from Spaniards versus people who had both types of parentage in their family background. The celebration of La Virgen de Guadalupe is a big deal for them because, according to legend, Mary appeared to an indigenous man as an indigenous woman. And culturally, to say that the mother of your deity appears not as a European woman, Mary wouldn't have been European. Let's ponder that for a minute. Anyway, she does not appear like all the statues in church as a European woman. She appears as an indigenous woman. If you look at the the authentic depictions of the Virgen de Guadalupe, they are a native born woman. This is culturally for them an affirmation that God comes to them embodied in their race, their people. So for them, it is a huge point of pride. So it goes beyond just the connection of Mary being the mother of Jesus. It is an embodiment of, a thing of, she is one of us. So they take this to a very high level. So they will explain a little bit about that. So I want you to watch those videos, and we are going to use next week to talk about, actually most of our lesson will be just conversations. So you're going to need to do some prep. I want you to talk about what you usually do for Christmas. And I want you to use mostly vocabulary you've got. You may have to look up some special words, right? Here and there, but what you usually do for the holiday. I want you to talk about yourself personally. What you will do this year, because it may be different. You may want to make comparisons, maybe. You might want to compare this year to previous years. I want you to describe what you do, what you plan to do. I'm talking about your typical activities, okay? Who you buy for, what you cook, what you bake, how you celebrate, music, anything you want to talk about is fair game, okay? You may want to use some comparisons. You're going to, I want you to even throw in a couple adverbs, and I'm going to show you a real quickie on adverbs with our share screen, and I'll give you the page number because it's right after your homework. It'll be called adverbs, but it's a super easy lesson. And I want you to, on the end, and this will come in the email, I want you to tag on the end, la mejor tradición de Navidad para mí. La mejor tradición de Navidad para mí. And you don't have to take notes. I'll send that to you in the email. The best Christmas tradition for me is, and if you don't do Christmas, if you do Hanukkah or whatever holiday it is you do, because we celebrate a whole bunch of different things, throw that in as well, because you may not celebrate Christmas. You may celebrate Hanukkah or something else. Maybe you celebrate nothing at all, but you join in something that is traditional with your neighbors. Lo que sea, whatever it may be. I'm going to put on, so that's what we're going to do. It's going to be largely a conversation talking about celebrating the holidays. I am going to show you one whiteboard because this is so easy. Tan fácil. It is so super easy that we can do it on this whiteboard. Adverbs, and you'll read the little blurb. Adverbs tell about how you do an action. Now, there are loads and loads of adverbs. There are adverbs of time, adverbs of place. I don't care that you know all that stuff. A mí no me importa. To me, that does not matter. A mí no me importa. We're going to talk about an easy way to do this. What does that mean that talks about an action? That means that in English, many, many, many of these words, not all of them, but many of them end in ly. Like quickly, slowly, carefully, right? Originally. Oh, how to do that ly. Here's how you do ly. There is an equivalent in Spanish to that suffix. We call it a suffix, ly, and that is mente. Mente. And there's only one tiny trick to mente. I'm going to show you what the trick is. This means we take an adjective and we turn it into an adverb. Okay. So if I want to say rápido, rápido, and it ends in an o, if it ends in an o, I need to ditch that o. And I will turn the o into the letter a first, a. So rápido, and then I will tag on the mente onto the end. So that's the only little trick. So rápido becomes rápidamente. Right? Okay. Cuidadoso, careful, needs to change the o to an a. Cuidadosamente. Wow, makes it kind of a long word, doesn't it? Let's take an easier thing. Vamos a ver. Let's take, claro, clear. We change it to an a, claramente, clearly, quickly, carefully, clearly. Okay, what if the word I want to change and tag on the mente doesn't end in o? Then you don't do anything different to it. You leave it by itself. If it doesn't end in o, you just add the mente on. And you don't have to change any a word. Okay, so I'll show you an example. Breve. Breve means brief, right? Breve is brief. You can guess that kind of looking at breve. And because it doesn't end in o, I just tag on the mente. Brevemente. Briefly. Yay. Original is original. Original does not end in an o. So I just tag on the mente. Originalmente, originally. Yay, that's it. That's as quick as it is. If it ends in o, flip it to an a and then add mente. If it doesn't end in o, whether that's, a letter like E or a letter like L or a letter like Z, no importa anything, just add the mente onto the end of it. Don't need to make any changes. Bien? And you'll find the little description with the examples right after your homework assignment in the book. So it'll be really, it's a quick read. No es difícil, it's not hard to figure out, okay? When you talk about your Christmas traditions next week, I want you to try to slip in one adverb like this. Okay? One. Try one. We'll do a little bit of practice before you do that. But most of our session next week will be you guys talking about traditions. And I'll start by talking about mine so that you've got some examples. See, you might want to take a few little notes. Don't try to write up a great big paragraph. Try to take, best way to do that is like write down a bunch of infinitives. Write just down the infinitive. And you know that if you're talking about yourself, they're going to be o endings, right? If you're talking about we do it because you want to talk about yourself and your family, you'll want to make, them amos endings. So I would say, have a piece of paper and write down a bunch of infinitives with things that you do. Things that you do. And as you talk, you'll look at those infinitives and you'll say, I do this, I do that. My family does this. We do this. And I want you to make it as natural as you can. But some things, of course, you will have to take some notes on so that you remember everything you want to say. ¿Está bien? ¿Está bien? ¿Hay preguntas, questions? No. And you may have some questions after you watch the videos for me too. So we'll probably start with that. ¿Está bien? Okay, vale. Fantástico. Eso es todo. That's it. I went over. Perdón. Vale, bueno, eso es todo. Espero que tengan una semana fantástica. I hope you have a really great week and stay safe and all that good stuff. And eso es todo. That's it. Vale.
Así es.
Ok, está bien. Gracias por todo. Gracias por todo. Thanks for everything.
Gracias.
Yes, adios.
Sí, sí.
Gracias.
And I will email Linda about how that conversation day will run Wednesday so that I get that information out to everybody. She sends an email to the whole group, right?
Sí.
Okay, vale. I will make sure I do that now while I'm thinking of it. Hasta
Gracias.
luego.